the mockery, begins the stars were quiet, spread like silver dust across the endless dark. Yet in the chambers of the Galactic Council, there was no peace. Alien leaders gathered around a wide, glowing table. Their voices sharp and filled with scorn, they spoke of Earth, of the small blue world that dared to call itself strong. Humans are fragile, one alien said, his scales shining under the council light. Their bones snap too easily. Their ships are nothing but toys. Laughter filled the chamber. The sound of arrogance echoing through the great hall. Another voice rose. Deep and slow, they speak of unity, of courage. But courage is nothing against plasma fire. Their fleets are thin, their engines weak. If they stand against us, they will crumble like dust, the council agreed, their arrogance swelling. They had crushed countless civilizations, and to them, Earth was no different. A backwater world, a voice unworthy of the stars. But far from the council, on the dark edge of human space, something was being built, a warship unlike any other, forged in silence, hidden from alien spies. Its frame was black as night, its armor layered with metals no other species had mastered. Inside, human engineers worked day and night, their eyes tired but burning with determination. They knew of the insults, they had heard of the mockery, but they did not answer with words. They answered with steel. Captain Jonas stood on the command deck, staring at the massive screens that showed the ship's systems. He was a man of calm voice, steady and patient. Around him, young officers whispered, each of them feeling the weight of history on their shoulders. "They call us weak," Jonas said quietly, his words cutting the silence. "They laugh at our strength, but they do not understand. Strength is not in bone or size, strength is in will, and will is something humanity never surrenders." The officers straightened, their hearts beating harder. They knew this ship was more than metal. It was the answer to centuries of doubt. It was the proof that humanity would not bow. Rumors had already begun to spread across the stars. Whispers carried by traitors, by hidden spies. "The humans are building something," the whispers said. "Something vast, something dangerous." But the council dismissed the rumors. They drank and laughed, their arrogance blinding them to them. Humans were nothing but children playing with fire. Still, fear grows quietly, and in the hearts of some alien captains there was unease. They had studied human wars of the past. They had seen how humans fought on their own world, never giving up, turning every weakness into strength. On the warship, the engines were tested. Their roar shook the steel. Echoing through the massive corridors, crew members cheered, their voices rising like thunder. For they knew they were not just serving a ship. They were serving all of Earth. Jonas placed his hand on the cold railing. His eyes locked on the void beyond the glass. "Let them mock," he said, his voice firm. "Mockery cannot stop what is coming when the time comes. They will see our answer." In the distance, alien fleets moved closer, their banners of arrogance shining in the dark. They prepared to teach the humans a lesson, but unknown to them, the lesson waiting was not for humans, it was for them. And so the stage was set. Silence before the storm, laughter before the scream, arrogance before the fall. First contact with arrogance, the alien fleet glided into human space like a storm. Hundreds of ships shaped like blades of steel and bone. Their engines glowed red, their weapons shimmered with lethal power. They came not with caution, but with pride. Their commanders eager to crush humanity in one swift display on the flagship of the alien armada. Admiral Torek stood tall, his eyes cold as stone. He looked at the hologram of Earth and smiled. "Weak world, weak people, this will be over before their sun sets." His officers bowed, their voices filled with cruel laughter. Messages were sent ahead, open and loud, mocking the humans. "We grant you one chance," the alien voice thundered across human channels. "Surrender your ships, bow your world, or be erased. Your resistance is a comedy to the galaxy." The words reached the warship, and silence followed. Crew members listened to the insults, their fists clenched, their hearts burning. But Captain Jonas did not flinch. He stood on the command deck with calm eyes. "Open a channel," Jonas ordered, his voice steady when the line connected. His words came simple and sharp. "We do not bow. We do not surrender. If you want to test our strength, then come and learn what your arrogance costs." The alien admiral laughed, a deep, cruel sound. Your single ship? Is this your pride? This toy you have built in your backyard? Very well, little humans, we will end this quickly. And when your wreckage floats, the galaxy will remember the day Earth was crushed. The alien fleet advanced, their ships spreading wide like predators circling prey. Yet inside the human warship there was no fear. Systems came alive, weapons charged. Engines hummed with deep power, unseen and unmatched. The crew moved with discipline, each hand on control, each eye fixed. They had trained for this moment in silence. Prepared for years of doubt, now the moment had come to answer. As the alien ships closed, one of the officers whispered, "They think we are nothing. They think this ship is weak," Jonas replied without looking away from the stars. "Then let us show them. Strength is not in what they see. It is in what they do not expect." The alien fleet fired the first strike. Beams of burning plasma crossed the void, smashing against the shields of the human warship. Light exploded across the black, but the shields held strong and steady. Alien officers blinked in surprise. Their laughter faltered for a breath. "Strange," one muttered. "Their shields are stronger than reported." But their admiral dismissed the doubt. "Keep firing, break them apart," plasma rained. Torpedoes flew. The void shook with violence. Yet the warship endured. Its hull glowed but did not break. Its shields sang but did not fall. Then Jonas gave the order, his voice calm. "Return fire!" A single shot left the warship. A beam of pure energy, silent and sharp. It cut across the dark and struck an alien cruiser. The ship split in two like paper, its pieces burning as they drifted into the void. The alien fleet froze, silence falling over their comms. One shot, one cruiser gone. Panic rippled for a moment, then anger roared. "Attack with all ships!" Torek shouted, his pride boiling. "They cannot stand against us all." Hundreds of weapons lit the stars. Rushing toward the human ship inside the warship, the crew braced. The ship answered with a storm of its own. Cannons rotated, missiles launched, beams carved through the dark. Alien ships exploded one after another, their arrogance breaking with every flash. Still the admiral screamed orders. Still he laughed with defiance. "They are lucky, nothing more. Press harder. Show them what real power is." But his voice cracked, and his officers glanced at him with fear hidden in their eyes. On the human ship, Jonas stood tall, his face lit by the glow of battle. "Let them mock," he said quietly. "Every laugh is another step toward their fall." The battle had only begun, yet the arrogance of the aliens was already shaking. They had thought the warship was a toy, but toys do not break fleets, and in the silence between explosions, a new fear began to take root in their hearts. The clash in the void, the stars burned with fire as the battle raged. Alien ships darted through the dark like angry hornets, their weapons spitting light, their voices filled with rage. The admiral's commands thundered across channels. "Press harder, break them! Show no mercy." But the human warship moved with calm precision, not rushing, not wasting. Every strike was measured, every shot was deliberate. When its cannons fired, an alien ship vanished. When its missiles launched, a formation crumbled. It was as if the warship had eyes in every corner of the void. On the alien flagship, officers shouted in panic, their screens filling with red markers. "3 more cruisers destroyed," one cried. "Our left wing is collapsing," another stammered. Torek slammed his hand against the console. His pride burning hotter than his fear. "Hold formation," he roared, though his voice cracked. "They cannot defeat us all. They are only one ship." But even as he spoke, another explosion lit the dark, another ship torn apart by the human vessel. Inside the warship, Jonas stood steady. His officers worked with silent focus. No one shouted, no one panicked. Their movements were sharp, their eyes locked. The ship was alive, breathing with unity. Every system, every soul moving as one. "Target their carriers," Jonas ordered. His tone calm as stone. The ship obeyed. Beams of energy lanced out, striking alien carriers that held smaller fighters. Explosions ripped through the fleet. Clouds of fire spilling across the void. Alien pilots screamed, their fighters torn apart before they could even form a proper strike. One officer on the flagship whispered, This is not possible. No ship can do this." But no one answered him. Fear had stolen their words still. The admiral forced a laugh, though his eyes trembled. They are only delaying their fate. Focus fire. Break their shields! Weapons fired again. Wave after wave crashing against the human warship, light and fury surrounding it. Yet the shields held, their glow strong, their strength unbroken. Jonas watched the storm without blinking. Let them burn their fuel. Every strike they waste brings us closer to victory. The alien fleet tried to adapt, sending ships in tight groups, surrounding the warship from all sides. But the human vessel shifted smoothly, rotating, engines flaring, its cannons firing in every direction. One by one, the groups fell apart, their formations shattered, their arrogance bleeding into terror on the council worlds. The battle was being watched through hidden streams. Alien leaders leaned forward in silence, their laughter gone, their eyes wide. Whispers rose in the halls. The humans! They built this? On Earth, families huddled around screens, their hearts racing, their pride swelling. They had heard the insults for years, heard the mockery of their kind. But now, in the fire of battle, they saw the truth. Their ship was no toy, it was a storm. "Captain," an officer said, his voice firm, "their right wing is breaking, their flagship is exposed." Jonas gave a small nod. "Then let us show them what arrogance earns." The warship's main cannon began to charge, the hum deep, the glow spreading across the entire vessel. Even the alien fleet paused for a breath, their eyes fixed on the rising light. "Fire," Jonas said, his voice calm as ever. The cannon released a beam of pure destruction. It carved through the dark like a blade, striking a massive alien battleship. The vessel broke apart in silence, its remains drifting into the void. The shockwave rippling through the enemy fleet. Alien comms filled with panic, voices screaming, officers begging for retreat. But the admiral roared, his pride refusing to bend. Fight on, though deep inside he knew the truth. Arrogance was breaking in the silence between explosions. Fear had replaced laughter. The aliens had mocked humanity's strength, but now their own strength was fading. And the warship of Earth stood tall in the void, unbroken, unyielding, unstoppable. The breaking of arrogance, the void was filled with wreckage. Burning hulks of alien ships drifted like broken bones across the dark. Flames flickered and then vanished into silence. The alien fleet that once entered human space with laughter now fought with desperation. On the alien flagship, Admiral Torek gripped the railing so tightly his claws cracked. His pride was bleeding into fear, yet he would not admit it. "Press forward," he shouted. "Their power is a trick, their strength an illusion." But his officers no longer believed. Their eyes were wide, their hands shook. Reports came like knives. "Our carriers destroyed, our fighters gone, another cruiser lost." Each word cut deeper into the admiral's pride. On the human warship, the crew moved with precision, their eyes steady, their voices calm. Every command from Captain Jonas flowed like water, his tone unbroken, his focus sharp. "Left flank, fire! Target their engines," he ordered. The cannons answered, alien ships exploded. Their escape cut off. The alien fleet tried again and again to regroup, but the warship always struck where they were weakest. Every tactic they tried was shattered. Their formations collapsed before they could form. "Captain," an officer said, her voice low, "they are breaking. Morale is collapsing." Jonas nodded slowly. "This is what arrogance earns. They mocked us because they thought we were weak. Now they see that mockery cannot stop truth." Alien comms filled with chaos, captains shouting over each other, some begging for retreat, others cursing the humans. One voice trembled. "This cannot be. Humans cannot stand against us. They are nothing." But even as he said it, his ship burned, torn apart by a missile strike. The warship pressed forward like a predator, its engines burning bright, its cannons tearing holes through anything in its path. It did not rush. It did not falter. It advanced with the patience of a storm, crushing everything in silence. On the flagship, Torek roared in rage. "You cowards, fight! Fight!" But even his voice no longer inspired. His officers exchanged glances, the fear in their eyes louder than his words. For the first time, the aliens understood what humans carried. Not just weapons, not just steel, but will. A will that did not bend. A will that turned every insult into strength. Jonas stood tall on the command deck, the glow of fire reflecting in his eyes. "This is not just a battle," he said, his voice calm. "This is the breaking of their arrogance. The end of their laughter. Alien ships began to retreat, some turning and fleeing into the void, others trying to hide among the wreckage, but the warship hunted them down. Its sensors sharp, its strikes merciless. One by one, the fleeing ships exploded, their arrogance dying with them on alien worlds across the galaxy. Broadcasts of the battle spread like wildfire. Council chambers that once rang with laughter now sat in silence. Their leaders leaned forward, their eyes wide. No one spoke, no one dared. "The humans," a voice whispered. "We mocked them," another voice trembled. "We said they were nothing, but they have built a monster." Earth's people watched too, their pride rising, tears in some eyes, joy in others. They had endured insult after insult, but now, in the fire of battle, they saw the truth. Their world was no longer mocked. It was feared. On the alien flagship, Torek fell into silence, his body heavy, his pride shattered. The battle was lost, the arrogance broken. But still, he whispered, "Impossible. They were supposed to be weak." His words fell empty. His officers did not answer, their faces pale with fear. The warship loomed before them, weapons glowing, engines burning. Unbroken, unyielding, unstoppable in that moment. The galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Mocking humanity was easy, but surviving humanity's strength was impossible. Silence of the mockers. The battle was over. The void, once alive with fire and screams, was now quiet. Only the wreckage of alien ships drifted, broken and scattered like dust across the black. The human warship stood alone in the silence, its armor scarred, its shields dim, but its spirit unbroken. Inside the ship, the crew breathed slowly, their eyes heavy with exhaustion but burning with pride. They had faced the laughter of an empire and turned it into silence. They had stood when the galaxy expected them to fall. Captain Jonas remained on the command deck, his hands resting on the railing, his gaze fixed on the fading stars of battle. His voice calm. "Status?" he asked, shields holding. "Engine steady," an officer replied, her tone filled with quiet triumph. "We are still standing, Captain." Jonas gave a small nod. "Good. Let the galaxy see. Humanity stands on the alien flagship." Admiral Torek slumped in his chair, his claws trembling. His pride shattered, his fleet gone. He stared at the human warship that hovered in the void like a dark giant, his voice broken. How can they be so strong?" But no one answered him. His officers bowed their heads in silence. Their arrogance ground into dust. Word of the battle traveled fast. Carried by hidden streams, by terrified survivors, across the council worlds the news spread. Once proud leaders sat in silence. The echoes of their laughter now felt like shame. "The humans crushed them," a voice whispered in a council hall. "One ship." "Against a fleet," another answered. "They mocked us all, and yet they proved us fools." In the days that followed, no alien dared speak of humans as weak. No leader dared call them fragile, for the memory of the warship haunted every word, every whisper. The galaxy that once laughed now watched in silence. On Earth, celebrations filled the streets. People gathered under the same stars that once felt so far away. Their pride swelling, children pointed to the skies, their voices rising. "Our ship protected us. Our world is strong," parents smiled, their eyes wet with tears. Humanity was no longer a joke, it was a force. Jonas stood before his crew, his voice calm but filled with weight. "They mocked our strength. They thought us fragile. But strength is not in size, it is not in arrogance. Strength is in will, in unity, in never surrendering. And that is who we are." The crew erupted in cheers, their voices filling the ship. Alien historians would later write of that day as a turning point. The day arrogance fell, the day mockery turned into silence. The day humanity stepped from shadow into legend, and yet Jonas did not smile with pride. His face remained calm, his voice low. "This is only the beginning," he said. "They will remember today, but we must always be ready. For respect is earned again and again." The galaxy had mocked humanity's strength. But the answer came not in words, not in pleas, but in fire, in steel, in the unyielding will of a single warship that refused to bow. Now, in the halls of the council, silence replaced laughter, respect replaced mockery, and in every corner of the stars, untruth whispered again and again, "Never mock humanity. For their warship will crush arrogance, and their will cannot be broken. And so the story of that battle was etched into the galaxy, not as a tale of victory alone, but as a warning, as a legend, as a truth no one would dare forget. The humans had stood, and in standing, they had changed the stars forever.